When I tell y'all all I've been wanting to do is bring y'all this video, and all that seems to happen is a disruption to where I can't get y'all this video. It's about Mike. Then the focus. Then I started getting phone calls. And then the storage got full. Sheesh. Okay, back to what we was talking about. What's up? What's up? What's up? It's me, Brianka J. And I want to thank you for coming to my little corner of the internet where we talk all things books. That's literary theory, analysis, short stories. If it's in a book or about a book, we're going to talk about it. So if that's something you love, then go ahead and click subscribe because I have big plans for 2025 and this channel. If you are new here, thanks for coming. Comment, like, subscribe. Help me stay here. If you've been here before, then you already know what's up and you know that I love you very, very much. Thank you for being here. I want to start off by saying that this year, my motto is if it's worth doing, then it's worth doing right. And that's why this is my third take of this video. The first take, my mic went out. The second take, I was completely out of focus. It might as well have been a podcast. And this is the third take and hopefully the final take. I am here to talk about James by Percevial Everett. It is the audiobook of the year by Audible. It is also the top book of 2024 by the New York Times. And it is a personal favorite for me. So let's get into it. I read it. And now let's rate it 1 through 10. Okay, so James has been talked about for quite some time. Just the premise of the book. It's been the whisper around academic circles, the retelling of Huckleberry Finn from the perspective of Inward Jim. What was it like for a black man to be riding down the Mississippi River with a little white boy, and he's a slave, a runaway, and probably wanted for murder? What could have possibly been his true telling? And people often felt like Mark Twain didn't give enough justice to this man. So that's where we are with this work. Who is James? Who is Huckleberry Finn's supporting character? Could he have been more than this simplistic individual who rides down the river and happens to be black, enslaved? You got to be more to the story. So that's what James sets out to do for the reader. So if you haven't read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, you're probably saying, well, girl, can I even read this? Is this even something I can enjoy? Yes, you can, because it does act as its own standalone. So it's not so reliant on The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn that you need to do a lot of back work. If you've already read it, that's great. That means you can kind of understand where the plot is going. You know about the adventures. You are aware of the setting and the theme, but it's not necessary to the story. It's not like a sequel or a prequel. It is a standalone work. It's from a completely different perspective. So if you aren't familiar, the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn has been very controversial since its original publishing. It's been banned on bookshelves. People felt like they didn't like the portrayal of the white people in the work. They didn't like the portrayal of the black people in the work. They didn't like the term nigga being used in the work so many times, even if it was attached to his title. So I'm sorry, I hate when people call me and I'm doing something. They didn't like his name being attached to his title. However, with that said, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark. Hey, I'm busy. They didn't like how their work was perceived. With that said, Mark Twain was a deadpan humorist, comedian, and so the work was actually meant to and does do an incredible job of poking fun at the ignorance of white people during the during American enslavement. It also pokes fun at people who believe in slavery. It makes you question that society and what they think is humane, and he kind of makes them take a look at their own hypocrisy. So that work, though controversial and though receiving so much backlash, the message in that work was always intended to be something that was against the institution of slavery itself, and to make Americans question where their loyalty really like what's said. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you may not like the work. It does, just keep that in mind before picking it up. But just a person of color, I think, is gonna really shine a light on this time in history that a lot of people feel like they know, but have no idea. I think so often we learn about slavery and they give you these quick highlights and these quick moments, but we don't consider the lives of the people, the uprisings, the separation of families, the shackles, the pain, the beatings, the thoughts, the intellect that these people held. And I think Everett brings these people to life in a way that makes you realize this wasn't just a time or a blip in American history, but this was definitely a part of the genetic makeup and historical makeup of our country. And real people were truly affected. And this book is going to really shine a light on those people and the people, those voices. Um, the book, I loved it. I did love it, but I won't say it had a strong impact on me in terms of I didn't know. All of this stuff I had learned in my time, either studying African American history or studying African American literature. But the way he wrapped it up and put a bow on it had not been done. And that's what makes this book different from any other book. He was able to take a little bit from history and a little bit from literature and a little bit from these academic theories and thoughts and voices and historical documents and say, hey, let's talk about it in a way it hasn't been talked about. Good job, good job, good job, good job. If you haven't read it, again, check out my description box. It is a free opportunity for you there. Also, I do have Class Pass there. If you are trying to get fit for the new year, then you will enjoy that link because it's going to give you about 10 classes you can go to around your city or any city, to check out a gym and check out a class. I got to enjoy things like Pilates, from using that, and discovered new loves in fitness that I might not have discovered because it's much cheaper. I know a Pilates class is about $40, but on ClassPass you can get it for like $3. So check that out. And then also, if you got natural hair, girl, and you've followed me for a while, you've seen my hair go from to something a little more manageable, and that's because I've been using Sunny and Dimby. Her products are now available when it comes to that work. The intended audience here is different from Huckleberry Finn. This book is for adults. So this book is very complex. The writing is very lyrical, a lot of prose, a lot of allusions, a lot of literary devices. I do think this work is for adults, maybe young adults, but certainly not school-age children. Um, it does belong to the genre of fiction, and I'll even say historical fiction. Though it's a retelling of the adventures of Huckleberry Finn, it does set itself on the Mississippi River during U.S. enslavement right up until the Civil War starts. So there is a lot of controversy. He brings up people like John Locke and different people who wrote against slavery and talks about the hypocrisies and pushes back on some of the ideas and the way in which people believed at that time. So it's very deep, very thoughtful. It leans a lot on historical events. The author's writing style, he does use a lot of allusions and literary devices such as colloquial dialogue and things of that nature. So I would say the best way to consider it is complex, but not complex in the way of William Faulkner, but complex in the way of when you step away from it, you're going to be left with a lot of things to chew on, to think about, and rethink. I will say that the way that Everett writes, he is very much telling us what he believes. Some writers leave us with questions more than answers, but this writer very much has his answers, and he's very much sharing his very firm belief in what was going on and what he thinks is going on. And I think he did it in a brilliant way. Very well done. Again, set in American, I already said that. There are some very unique or interesting aspects of the book. I think the most is the compelling characters and the strong messages he lends to America. He has something to say, and he's using this book to say it, and he says it with his chest. And I think that the voice of James, how he goes from this static simpleton riding down a river on a raft with an 11-year-old boy to this deep, profound, thought provoking man who has way more to offer than any character that we have saw in the adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Quite well done, Everett. Quite well done. Love that for you and love that for me to get to read it. With that said, I enjoyed reading this work. I want to go on record saying that because I did not want to read it. I read Wicked. I just watched the movie. I saw Mufasa came out. I've been wondering if I want to see that. I saw Maleficent. I saw Cruella. I was like, I'm just so tired of a retelling. Give me something new. Like, I don't want to be retold a story from a different perspective. I just want a new story. But with that said, with all the accolades it got and all the praise and the narration from Dominic Hoffman, I'm happy that I lent myself to this work. It was very well done and very well worth my time. Um, I did get the audiobook, and I wanted to implore you to do it because it was done by Dominic Hoffman. He did um, the Heaven and Earth grocery store as well. And when I say he is a top notch narrator, especially when he's bringing these black voices to life, yes. So go down into my description box right now. I have a link for Audible. You can get the book for free on the house. Check that out. And also any other book. I think you get 2 books for free and then 1 book for the price of coffee every month. It's such a steal. So yeah, check that out that and read it with the book. It's so well, he does such a good job of bringing those characters to life through that narration. I just say hats off to him as well. Um, my favorite part of the book starts off in part 2, where James meets Norman, who is this African American man passing for white, and the way these 2 characters play off of each other, and the themes of race and what it means to be white and what it means to be black, and all of these different questions that come about during this setup. Beautifully, beautifully, beautifully done. Love that part, and I think that is had to be my favorite part of the book. My least favorite part is towards the end. I just wasn't super in love with the ending because I found it to be predictable. It very much lent itself to a particular story in history, a historical event, and I want to go into detail about it, exactly what it reminded me of, but I have to do it in a different video because I was telling you I didn't enjoy the ending. I didn't enjoy the ending because it led itself to a historical event that I very much am well aware of, and I want to talk about it in detail, but on a different video because I don't want to give you spoilers. were the characters believable and relatable? I think he lends so much voice to Jim and James now that you look at him as a fully rounded person. And I think that was his goal, was to give the black people of this time period a full rounded view, a human life, a life that has thoughts, desires, goals, hopes, wants, love, hate, fear, all of these things that make us who we are very much still was something that happened even to people who were enslaved. And I think that that's something Everett wanted to show us as readers. And I think he does a great job of really taking these characters from simpletons and foolish supporting characters who were happy to have a good master versus a bad master, to someone who's saying, hey, this entire act is completely hypocritical, and it makes me question every single thing that you say. And no. So yes, the characters come to life in a way that we don't naturally see them or normally see them. And I think that was really well done, believable, because yes, I am a black woman and I do have to um unfortunately find ways to navigate the stereotypical portrayal of black women versus who I am as a person. It happens right here on YouTube every single day. So I do know that these things still exist in our world and they still are a matter of conversation. Was the plot engaging? Absolutely. I think the plot was incredibly engaging, especially because I had the audiobook. Why is he so good at narrating books? His voice just lends itself to your ear. Like, yes. But then just the writing style. These two men should continue to work together, because when I say absolutely standing ovation, I think they did a great job of keeping me engaged. It wasn't as suspenseful as it would have been because I have read Huckleberry Finn. I knew where the adventures were going. He does go off script a little bit and take some creative license, but for the most part, you kind of know what adventures are going to go on. You're just getting a new perspective of those adventures. Um, the book made me think about a lot of important themes. It made me think about the complexity of being black in America, what it means to be black, what it means to be white, how it goes beyond the nature of color, and it means something much deeper than that. It made me think about the art of code switching, this choice that African Americans have to make on a day-to-day basis on how they speak with their friends and their family and how they speak with the world, and how those two things interchange themselves. It made me think about our black people's relationship with religion, and why it's always been something more complicated than simply whether you believe or don't believe. And how people have started to lend themselves to spirituality and question holidays and all of these things, and how it dates all the way back to these deep events in our historical makeup. So yeah, it made me think about some very deep themes, and it led itself to some very important messages. But I absolutely recommend this work to anybody who loves history, who loves African American literature. I will even say I would recommend it to some people who just love American literature. I think that culturally it will make some white people uncomfortable, but I do understand that being uncomfortable is not always the worst thing you can be in this world. So if you're okay with just being challenged and just having your view reshaped, this is a good read. I think I love to read about different cultures, but I'm not always reading in a way that makes African Americans the villains. And in this book, you'll see white people as the villains. So I don't know what that might feel like, but if you're comfortable with it, give it a read. Give it a read. But the main message or theme of the work is to challenge your view of African Americans and its stereotype, and to bring a life and a full richness to the people who were silenced during the time of enslavement in America. So just keep that in mind. Um, Again, very well written. You can tell that Everett is a very well read person. He loves history, he loves writing, he loves literature, and that all comes together in this work. As I said, this was a work that has been whispered about for many, many, many years, to the point that I already felt like I knew what was coming, but I had no idea how well he was going to do this. It definitely, the editing and the time he took reminds me of some of the great authors like Invisible Man, Ralph Ellison, and thank you. I haven't got a good, well written work in some time, and this really reawakened my love for reading and reawakened my love for historical fiction in a way that hadn't been awakened in quite some time. As you guys know, I love a good classically written work, but this one will easily be a classic because it is that good. I will be buying the hard copy and a second copy to get my annotations in and really dive deep. And I'm going to be coming back to talk about some of the deeper themes. I just don't want to give a lot of spoilers here, but and this is my third take or fourth at this point, but another story for another day. The book reflects deeply on social and the cultural issues of American society. It's going to challenge some of your beliefs. If you are not black, if you're a white person, you're going to feel villainized. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to not really like what's said, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you may not like the work. It does, just keep that in mind before picking it up. But just a person of color, I think is going to really shine a light on this time in history that a lot of people feel like they know, but have no idea. I think so often we learn about slavery and they give you these quick highlights and these quick moments, but we don't consider the lives of the people, the uprisings, the separation of families, the shackles, the pain, the beatings, the thoughts, the intellect that these people held. And I think Everett brings these people to life in a way that makes you realize this wasn't just a time or a blip in American history, but this was definitely a part of the genetic makeup and historical makeup of our country. And real people were truly affected. And this book is going to really shine a light on those people and the people, those voices. Um, the book, I loved it. I did love it, but I won't say it had a strong impact on me in terms of I didn't know. All of this stuff I had learned in my time, either studying African American history or studying African American literature. But the way he wrapped it up and put a bow on it had not been done. And that's what makes this book different from any other book. He was able to take a little bit from history and a little bit from literature and a little bit from these academic theories and thoughts and voices and historical documents and say, hey, let's talk about it in a way it hasn't been talked about. Good job, good job, good job, good job. If you haven't read it, again, check out my description box. It is a free opportunity for you there. Also, I do have Class Pass there. If you are trying to get fit for the new year, then you will enjoy that link because it's going to give you about 10 classes you can go to around your city or any city, to check out a gym and check out a class. I got to enjoy things like Pilates, from using that and discovered new loves in fitness that I might not have discovered because it's much cheaper. I know a Pilates class is about $40, but on ClassPass you can get it for like $3. So check that out. And then also, if you got natural hair, girl, and you've followed me for a while, you've seen my hair go from to something a little more manageable, and that's because I've been using Sunny and Dimby. Her products are now available for 20% off using my discount code in the description box. I think I've said everything, and I've done this 3 times now, so your girl is tired. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Keep on reading, and I'll see you next time.